Hi, this is BetGo with the Grinder School short. This is the second one from a hand history review. This is a winning player. These are two 180s and two 250 180s these days. And we're going to look at some issues with some hands. I think there's some really interesting stuff here. This is a mistake with the threes because we're basically we're about even versus the short stacks range, and so we're just flipping. We're getting like 75 in profit flipping for the blind money, and when you make this ISO, you're in a bad situation if one of these guys shoves one of the bigger stacks. You have to call the short stack and the big blind. But you have a kind of a tough decision. You probably actually should be calling. So in which case, it's probably better to just either flat or to shove or something. But I mean, not to say this ISO play isn't work sometimes. But people get a little bit happy about stop happy or whatever about isolating and playing aggressive and so on and so on. But or maybe they just have a hand they don't want to give up or something. There's just no real profit there. So it's the correct place to fold. The pre-flop's fine. I like the raise with this hand and everything, and the stacks and so on. Now here, I think this is a pretty dry flop. I would c-bet it. If it's like 10, or well, you have a 10, but if it was some kind of middle cards and flush in it and two flush in it that you didn't have any of or something. Obviously, we didn't have any of our hearts, but then I can see just giving up on it. But this is it'd be better if an ace or a king hit. But this is a pretty dry low flop, so you can represent the pocket pair or ace king or something. They'll think you're ahead and might fold. Kind of weird we're out of position. Now when the ace hits, this is definitely a mistake because it looks like if you had Jack 10 suited, you'd probably c-bet this, try to take it down because you might not be able to win with Jack high. But if you had an ace, you might check it back, thinking your ace is good and why bet or something. And it just looks like when you're checking and you obviously didn't hit your ace. Now you hit your ace, so you bet. So you're going to get a fold like almost all the time. I mean, a lot of the time, unless the guy's got an 8 or something, or this should be a bet here, and you probably would get him to fold what he had here, the king high. But it doesn't really matter. I mean, I didn't base it based on what he had. It just wasn't a. It's really possible to bet here. Sometimes randoms are like giving up when they don't bet here. I don't know. I'm a little bit hesitant, a little suspicious when somebody doesn't bet. Now this is okay. The calling with the open-ended. Now we don't raise him here. Now the student said the reason he didn't raise, I'm assuming we're not getting action from that, was he figured he wasn't going to get any action unless the guy had an 8, and then he was a little suspicious of that small bet on the turn that the guy might have had the straight, the 8-9, and then if he does have the 8-9, you're going to stack off. So actually, I don't know if his play is actually that bad, although I think any coach would tell you the play was to raise there. Here, I think this is not strong enough to do this with. Just defend the big blind. You have to put up the big blind anyway, and that's a CV plus play. So you only got to put up 900 to win a lot more. If you get heads up, it's actually a good play for you. So I don't think that's correct. In the Moshman book, they'll talk about that, saying, well, you have to go in the blind, so you should do this. But Moshman book is on one table Sit and Gos. But I'm pretty sure this is not the correct way of going things. I have a pretty good understanding of the mathematics of the whole thing. Okay, there's some early hands. Most of the stuff is late, I think, where I have issues. The limp behind's kind of okay, I think. it's kind of hard to, what do we do if it gets? I guess you could limp call with the hand strong enough. Uh, it's kind of a weird situation. I mean, a lot of regulars would just fold here, but might be. I don't know. I think I probably would have just raised, but it's not really that bad. Actually, this looks sort of okay. I guess we have a straight, and again, he didn't raise because of the flush out there. Pre-flop is pretty standard. I think I just give up on this flop. If I had, you have the backdoor third nut flush draw. If I had a straight draw with this is a 9 rather than an 8 or something, I might check raise, because I think very often you get action on this kind of a flop. Of course, it's not so much of a call or raise or dynamic, because you raise from the small blind, so neither of you can have necessarily very much. This seems a little spewy. It's like a wet board, and when he bets small like that, it's kind of it looks pretty much of a disaster. When you see the cards. I mean, it's possible to make a move and everything, but I think this is a mistake. I think this shove is a little light here. If there was an ante, it'd probably be okay. But people tend to call pretty light early on anyway, and his hand's just not very strong. So I think the play is just to raise, make it 300, 350, and fold, because it's a pretty good hand to represent post flop. It's very easy fold if you get raised, re-raised, 3-bet, whatever, and you can represent when high cards hit, or represent a choppy low flop and all sorts of things. Anything, steal the pot post flop when you basically have nothing when you miss, and when you hit, it's going to be unreadable. So I think that's better than just folding there, but I'm pretty sure you can't shove. Depends somewhat on the players. It might be okay to just fold too. Here, I think the better play is to flat, and some people, I know that people have rules saying you're not supposed to flat with 11 big blinds or 12 big blinds or whatever it is, but it's just unlikely the guy's going to fold, and you're probably a little bit behind his range, but you're getting 3.3 to 1, and the hand plays pretty well, and you can more or less get the money in. You'll probably see bet, and you can more or less get the money in if you hit, certainly top pair, maybe a pair or draw. There are a lot of ways it can come. You could come like 8-7 or something on the flop, and you'd have the overcards and the gut shot, and I'd probably want to get in with that, and you can have backdoor flush draws, backdoor straight draws. I mean, you want to see if there's enough equity. I mean, there's some way of playing the hands, not necessarily just get the money in or not, but usually the guy's gonna see that it, and it's possible too with a draw to just lead out, or shove or whatever too, because if you try for the check raise, he may be pot committed. It might be sort of obvious what you're up to, but not obvious enough that he's necessarily going to see that. But I think this is much better than shoving. It may be better to fold than to shove, because I'm not sure we quite have enough equity here. Whether it's worth gambling or stack. There's not much ICM at this stage, but still. This is incorrect. The play here is to shove, and it's possible to raise to side, and fold to the bigger stack there. I kind of tend to shove here because I think there's some point to that too, because if there's too much action, you can fold too if two players go all in, or the hand doesn't play very well post flop, and at this stakes people might flat you. And the student indicated, well, this is ace-6, and he saw in his videos it's not as good as ace-5 or ace-3 or something, where you can make the wheel. But I mean, the wheel, I think in general ace-6 is better than ace-2 because of the high card value. I mean, there's only one way you can make that straight. It's a very tiny percentage effect. People overdo that with the idea about the wheel and all that. It's an interesting type of hand, to play deeper and so on. It has some particularly the one where you can make the straight. If you're deeper, that's more important too, because it gives you a little bit more possibilities to, playability issues. Where you make some kind of draw, or you hit this straight that's completely unreadable. But this is too weak. The hand's just too strong here. Probably actually a raise to side's probably best, and just fold to the big stack there, or fold if two players go all in or something. Okay, this is interesting. I think the play here is just a shove. It depends on who the big stack is. But we part to play a cooperation play to knock this guy out. My big stack really doesn't have that much interest in knocking him out. Yeah, he pushes with the semi-bluff. He's got the open-ended. And also, sometimes when somebody shoves, it could be a draw or something's a very drawy board. We actually had second pair there. Also, the other thing is, if we call when he does do the shove, we can still take second place if the big stack wins the pot. We still take second place. So there's only one way where the short stack comes in first and the big stack comes in second, where we bust there. But I think it's better just to shove there, and he did wind up coming in third, and I think you don't want to play too scared of the big stack. I mean, there are ways of handling it, and probably shoving there is a good one. And again, if you shove pre-flop, you're only busting if the short stack is first. I mean, if the short stack is first and the big stack is second, that's the only way you bust. Okay, so let's look at another one. This is a mistake. It's a 280. This is a shove. I mean, you got a suited king here. So you should be shoving pretty light because of your position. If you were shorter stack, maybe shoving lighter, but even the effective stacks are a little less than the 10 big blinds you have, because some of these guys are a little shorter. So this is plenty good enough to shove from cutoff. Obviously, from early position, it would not be a shove. But here, you should be shoving a very wide range. Any two Broadway cards. Obviously, I'm not sure if shove every offsuit king, but a suited king's a very easy shove. Most suited connectors, suited gappers. I think this is a mistake. This is probably strong enough to shove here, but I think the better play is to raise, decide, and fold to larger stacks, because this stakes, and the big blind can definitely call the small raise with the odds and all. You might get flatted, and the hand plays pretty well. Plus, it's kind of marginal, so therefore I think a raise decides better, because you don't mind seeing a flop of the hand. But pushing is better than folding here. This is a mistake. You have some fold equity here, and if you're really short, I'd say just defend your big blind if you didn't have any fold equity. But even you do sort of have a hand, so it's a little bit close even then. But if you get called by the big blind, then maybe a good shape with your ace, because he may call with worse, or some kind of high cards or something. But when you get real short, you have to push light. The fact that we're so short, I mean, I'm probably pushing lighter with 5 big blinds than I am with 3. But this isn't good enough to go with there. Try to get some chips. Here again, this is a suited ace. and we got 10 big blinds. I mean, it's the final table, and people are a little, cautious, I guess. But you really can't be cautious. You gotta kind of go for it. Try to pick up some chips. So that's the shove. Okay, so I guess that's the end of this one. We went over three 2-180s who got some interesting situations.